Hey guys, Logan here, and welcome to my Star Wars series. Since Star Wars The Last Jedi is coming out 2 weeks from today, and my Star Wars series of reviews almost completed, I have a review for you today, and that is for The Empire Strikes Back, the sequel to George Lucas's original Star Wars film, A New Hope. And just like every Star Wars movie that I have reviewed in preparation to see Star Wars The Last Jedi, this one as well is going to contain a lot of major spoilers. So you have been warned. A lot of spoilers are going to be coming everywhere in this review. So I'm just letting y'all know right now. So like I mentioned before in my Star Wars A New Hope review, Star Wars, the first Star Wars from the 1977, I already said, came out in 1977. It was a huge film back in the day when it was released. It changed a lot about cinema and what it has been about. It changed everything in cinema forever. It changed a lot of people's minds about movies. It changed a lot of things about what people should talk about whenever they see a film. Just everything that is pretty much a part of cinema. It pretty much changed the way we view movies forever. So Star Wars A New Hope pretty much was a big hit back in the day. And that's why everybody back in 1980 were looking forward to see The Empire Strikes Back when it was released in theaters. And this is also, just want to make it clear, just in chronological order of all Star Wars films, this is the first Star Wars film not to be directed by George Lucas. Just want to point that out. This movie starts off with Luke seeing a meteor crash landed on Hoth, which holds the Rebel base on it. Luke told Han that he saw a meteorite hit the ground, and he's trying to find out with his Tauntaun that it's pretty much a combination of a goat and a horse. And he soon got brought into this Wampa cave. And it was great. The next scene, which I will talk about in just a minute or two. And then we were introduced into the next scene in which we were introduced to the Empire with the Star Destroyers. And one gigantic Star Destroyer. And this also introduces us to the Imperial March done by John Williams. And if anyone asked me which one of the best movie scores I have ever heard in my entire life, my answer to that would be quite simple. The Imperial March done by John Williams. Darth Vader doesn't have any score for his character. It's pretty much the entire Empire that has got a score for them. Just the theme that the Empire has was pretty chilling and very awesome. So then we cut to another shot in which Luke Skywalker was hanging from upside down and the Wonka monster chewing on meat of the Tauntaun. Now I will get back to that scene, but back to another scene in which Han was discovered that Luke Skywalker hasn't returned to the Rebel base. He's trying to get onto this Tauntaun, which pretty much don't have much to go since it's freezing on Hoth. This one trooper said,
"Your Tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell."
You know, that kind of reminds me, this movie pretty much didn't have a lot of credit for one thing that a lot of people should have, and that is the humor. This movie was pretty funny. A lot more funnier than the first film. And the majority of the humor in this movie pretty much involves the hilarious banter between Han Solo and Princess Leia. I have only one scene to examine that for you. Observe.
Are you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder?
Who's scruffy looking?
So then Han Solo is on a search for Luke, just in case he is alive. Then Luke escapes from the Wonka cave and all that stuff, and he soon got down and he saw Obi-Wan's spirit and him saying that he has to go to the Dagobah system where he meets Master Yoda. And then Han Solo came in and found Luke, and his Tauntaun soon died off. And then Han Solo was like trying to have Luke get into this Tauntaun and all that stuff, and this is what he said. I thought they smelled so bad on the outside. So the rebels found Han Solo, one of them actually, found Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and brought them back to the rebel base. And Luke is all healed up and ready to walk again. And of course, I cannot get through this whole review without talking about the scenes in which Darth Vader chokes his generals, captains, or admirals, or whoever that failed him miserably and badly. "You have failed me for the last time, Admiral." And that was very awesome, just to see Darth Vader taking out the ones who didn't do his task completely for him, and the fact that his, captains, admirals, and generals, or whoever, did not complete his objectives, Darth Vader will kill him. Now, I don't necessarily condone bad guys in this film, but I must say, this kind of made me think, if I was one of the captains or generals or admirals that pretty much failed Darth Vader, I'm pretty much going to die. It was just so awesome to see. That's what made him awesome. Or I should say, one of the main reasons why he's so awesome. So then we cut to the Battle of Hoth, in which the rebels fly their speeders, or not the speeders, the whatever they are, to go up against the Imperial walkers, known as the AT-AT walkers. Yes, that's right. I know what they are. They are AT-AT walkers. I used to have an AT-AT walker toy back when I was little. So that's pretty much how I know what the AT-AT walkers are. Yeah, I know, I'm a geek, I know. Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, and C-3PO then escaped from Darth Vader's reach to the Millennium Falcon, while Luke Skywalker rides the X-Wing fighter with R2-D2 head to the Dagobah system as Obi-Wan Kenobi's spirit told him to. And then we cut to the asteroid field scene. Yeah, that's right. The asteroid field scene in which Han Solo and the rest of the crew fly into the asteroid field being pursued by the Imperial TIE fighters. Now, if you watch my review for Attack of the Clones, you will see in one part that I talked about the differences between the asteroid field scene in this film and the asteroid field scene in Attack of the Clones. I mentioned that the asteroid field scene in The Empire Strikes Back really holds up, and not just because it's an action sequence that pretty much delivered, but it's the intention and the suspense that it gave at the beginning when C-3PO gave him the odds that were successfully flying through the asteroid field without being hit, and Han Solo saying, "Never tell me the odds." I mentioned that brings in the intention and the suspense and the just a lot of things that pretty much made you go like, I hope Han Solo makes it. I really hope he does, and all that stuff. And I didn't mention that with Attack of the Clones, because there wasn't any. So Luke Skywalker and R2-D2 arrived at Dagobah to find the Master Yoda. Now, I really like the look of Dagobah, making it look like a gigantic jungle or forest-like planet that is pretty much filled with nothing but life on it. There's no empire, there's no civilization, there is no civilized life forms, just nothing, just animals and plants, and you get the point. It looks like a real place just by looking at the whole landscape of Dagobah. Just everything about it looks really good, really great. It looks like a real place. Yeah, I thought Irvin Kershner, I don't know his last name, who by the way, rest in peace, pretty much did very well. Like I mentioned in my review for The Grey, there was not a single shot in this movie that pretty much didn't look all that bad. There isn't one. There is not a single shot in The Empire Strikes Back that made you go like, yeah, that shot didn't look all good. There is none of that. Just the cinematography and the setup and the filmmaking alone for this entire shot, and the lighting as well, looked really, wow, just mind-blowingly good. And then in another shot, we get to see Luke and R2-D2 be introduced to Yoda. Yoda was absolutely freaking hilarious. Looking, found someone you have, I would say. He's just freaking hilarious. He doesn't really take himself so seriously or everything else so seriously. And that's what made him cool and awesome and funny. But he does have some serious moments for the right reasons, of course. And pretty much the one shot where Luke tells him, "I won't fail you. I'm not afraid." Yoda said to him, "You will be. You will be." You know, I can only imagine back in the year 1980 when little kids at that time of the year saw this movie and were pretty much like Yoda when he was first introduced, and then saw that scene and were like, "Mommy, why is he so scary? I don't like it." I'm just wondering, is it just me? I don't know. Well, I don't really care anymore. Anyway, Darth Vader still has the entire Empire searching for the Millennium Falcon, on just destroying every asteroid until the Millennium Falcon is found. So yeah, after Yoda revealed himself to Luke, Luke gets to have him train him in how to become a Jedi and all that stuff. And I didn't mention this before, but the scenes with Luke Skywalker and Yoda pretty much were some of the more interesting scenes in this entire film. Some of the most interesting scenes in The Empire Strikes Back, in my opinion. So then, back to the scene where I was at, we get to see Han Solo, Leia, C-3PO, and Chewbacca, or Chewie, escaping this cave. But then, it's not actually a cave. Han Solo indicated that it's actually a giant worm. So we cut back to the Yoda and Luke scene where they're still training, and I really like that one shot where after Luke loses his concentration, Yoda was like standing on Luke's feet and was like, "Concentrate!" Anyway, we then see Luke Skywalker enter the Force, and he found what he thought to be Darth Vader. But he cut off his head, and the explosion on the Darth Vader's mask happened, and it wasn't really Darth Vader. It was actually Luke. Like, oh, okay. A lot of people at the time, when this movie came out, from what I understand, were kind of like, what? What is that? So we then get back to Luke and Yoda. This time around, Luke loses his concentration, but then he tells Yoda about the vision he just had about his friends. And Yoda was like, "The friends you have there?" And he was talking about the next scene in which I will talk about. And Luke was absolutely convinced that something bad is going to happen to them. And he decided to just go back to them and try to save them before something bad happens to them. And Yoda tries to persuade him to not go. So then we get to see Han Solo and the rest of the crew arrive at Cloud City. And then we get to be introduced to Lando Calrissian. I think that's how you pronounce his character's last name. So anyway, we get to see Luke getting ready to launch his X-Wing fighter, and Obi-Wan Kenobi tried so wholeheartedly to make Luke stay, and Luke couldn't take the vision out of his head, and tries to get ready. And Obi-Wan and Yoda tried to make a lot of valid points to Luke, saying that if he goes, which the Darth Vader and presumably Darth Sidious wanted him to, some bad things will come to him as well. Not just his friends, but also him in general. So we get to another surprise in which Lando surprised Han Solo and the rest to Darth Vader at that dinner table scene. and Han Solo grabbed out his blaster and started shooting at Darth Vader. It was a very fast-paced shot, and then Darth Vader used the Force to grab Han Solo's blaster and said, "We will be honored if you would join us." Did Boba Fett join in, as well as the stormtroopers, and Lando explains how they got here, or how long they got here, and all that stuff. So after Luke Skywalker leaves, we see Yoda and Obi-Wan argue, seeing Obi-Wan saying, "That boy was our last hope," and Yoda saying, "No, there is another." So Luke arrives at a planet that has Cloud City in it, and he's heading towards Cloud City, while we get to also see the crew of the Millennium Falcon, including Han Solo, get brought into this very isolated room, the cryo-freeze scene somewhat. A couple minutes later, we get to see Leia and say to Han, "I love you," Han Solo saying, "I know." Now, at that time, Han Solo didn't really want to say "I love you" because that would be kind of cliched and all that stuff. He didn't want to do that, and the director, Irvin Kercher, kind of agreed with that, so they just went for it. The director and the actor both wanted to say "I know," or mostly Han Solo, and Irvin was like, "Yeah, let's do that." So, yeah, I could give them 2 thumbs up for that, I guess. And I cannot believe I mentioned this. Earlier, we get to a scene in which Darth Vader talks to the bounty hunters. One of them, the one and only, great, Boba Fett. And I really like how Darth Vader points his finger at Boba Fett saying, "No disintegrations." And Boba Fett said, "As you wish." So I cannot believe I didn't mention that scene earlier in this review. I am sorry if I did it for you guys. So Han Solo is now frozen in carbonite and is brought to Boba Fett's ship. And then in the next shot, we get to see Luke Skywalker entering that same carbon freeze room in which he confronts Darth Vader. Now, Vader could have easily struck first against Luke, but he didn't. He actually toyed with Luke Skywalker, and that's what made him so cool. Luke Skywalker humiliate and manipulate Luke Skywalker, not physically, but psychologically, just messing with his mind and stuff like that, of how to do things against Darth Vader. So then we get to have Lando help Leia and Chewie escape Cloud City, now being chased by the Imperials. And they escape Cloud City, but then we get to get back to Luke facing Darth Vader, and then we get to see Darth Vader slicing Luke's hand off, or arm off, I mean, and Darth Vader reveal himself who he is to Luke. After said, "Obi-Wan told me you killed him," Darth Vader respond with, "No, I am your father." No, do, 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 do. And Luke couldn't absolutely believe it. He was fooled or tricked into thinking that Darth Vader killed his father, but no. Darth Vader told him the truth, telling him that he is Luke's father. A very great twist, I must say. If I was watching this for the very first time and didn't watch it like a lot of people do back in the day, I would have been absolutely shocked. So then we get to see Luke speaking to Leia through the Force and all that stuff, and Leia hears him or feels him saying to her, and forces Lando to turn back and get Luke Skywalker. And they found him, and then they escaped from the Empire's reach to the Millennium Falcon. So R2-D2, one of our favorite droids, fixes the hyperdrive of the Millennium Falcon, and they eventually escaped. And Darth Vader walks away in just disbelief that Luke wouldn't listen and all that stuff. And yeah. And then we get to the end of this movie, which is seeing the Rebel fleet and all that stuff, and seeing the plans that Luke is trying to make plans to go to Tatooine, as well as with Chewie and Lando. At the end of the movie, we see the entire Rebel fleet turning to the entire freaking Rebel fleet, and then the movie ends, and that was pretty much a cliffhanger. This movie ends on a cliffhanger. That was one of the main things that really got people upset at the time that they went to see this movie when it came out back in 1980. A lot of people pretty much were like, what? That's really it? And now we have to wait for like 3 more years for Return of the Jedi coming out. That's just not fair. So yeah, guys, overall, The Empire Strikes Back was not only one of the best Star Wars movies, or possibly the best Star Wars movie ever made, and it's also not only one of the best sequels ever made. I could go as far as to say it's one of the best movies ever made. It had all the good elements, like I mentioned earlier, from A New Hope, and made them even better, leaps and bounds better, and also adding new things that are just as good, if not better, than all the good elements in A New Hope. Now, unlike in my review for A New Hope, where I mentioned that even though I had only one issue with it, which was the character of Tarkin, I pretty much gave that movie a Platinum Medal of Honor despite one issue I have with it, even though I didn't think it was a major issue or even a minor issue I have, even though it is an issue. Despite that, I don't have any issue with this movie at all. Zero. Just none. I love basically everything about The Empire Strikes Back. Not a single issue or flaw that I could find about this movie. That's how awesome The Empire Strikes Back is. And The Empire Strikes Back absolutely gets a Platinum Medal of Honor. Anyway guys, that is my review for The Empire Strikes Back. I am about done with my Star Wars series. My next review and also my final review in my Star Wars series is going to be for Return of the Jedi. I am not, and I didn't mention this before I did my A New Hope review, but I'm not going to do my review for Rogue One: A Star Wars Story because I did my review for that movie almost a year ago, and stuff like that. So you can watch that and stuff like that, I guess. If you guys enjoyed my review, please click the like button, and if you have already watched The Empire Strikes Back, which I'm assuming all of you did, comment down below to let me know what you think of it. Did you like it? Did you thought it was okay? Or did you not like it? Please don't say you don't like it. Come on, don't say you don't like it. Because if you are, you're a troll. If you enjoy what you see here and you want to see future videos from me, please click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great week, Battle Squad, and as always, fight the good fight. Peace!